Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Sports Talk with Eddie. We are live, and we got a lot of things on tap for today. We got some basketball we're gonna get into. Major League Baseball free agency is heating up. The Japanese pool is very entertaining. We're gonna see whether the Mets and the Yankees are going to be involved. There's always rumors and speculations of teams inquiring about these baseball players coming from the international pool. Very excited ball players coming out, and we'll see what's going about. But the interesting thing that I want to get into is in today's market with these international players. It was so now you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. 10 years ago, let's go back to the Matsui years, where you didn't know who was coming in, but it now seems from the outside looking in that the market, especially for these international players, a lot of these international players prefer West Coast weather, which is equal to warm weather, preferably California teams that we've seen, and especially the Dodgers just raking out everybody with Roki Sasaki. We all seen what Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been doing the past couple of years with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So are we in a phase where international players are more intrigued by the warm weather and prefer West Coast players? And the times where we didn't know and favorites like the Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, those will usually be the cream of the crop when we're talking about these international players. Are the East Coast teams still intact for these international baseball players? So that's definitely something that we're gonna tap into later on in the show. But we're gonna jump right into things right now, and we're gonna go with the top 10 Major League Baseball free agents. In my this is my mock. This is my mock as far as free agent players go. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong. We do have call in today, so you guys want to tap in? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you guys think certain players are going, and how that's going to shape your baseball team for the upcoming 2026 baseball campaign. So, right off the back at number 10, I got Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez is a pretty good arm. He does have some discrepancies with him where you don't know what you're gonna get, but ultimately, I do see you could consider Ranger Suarez as a solid number two. I could put it as a solid number two as far as what the market is going to be for him. I do see something within the 4 or 5 year deal for him. Um, you look at a team like the Chicago Cubs, who are in need of pitching, and I do see the market there for Ranger Suarez. I do see the connection with Suarez going for them. Again, the top tier baseball pitchers are going to be there, but I think this is going to be a very weird type of free agency where we'll probably see the second tiers and the third tiers sign before we actually get one of those big dominoes to fall, and then that's when free agency is going to heat up rapidly as far as the top tier players that we got. So yeah, I got Ranger Suarez as at number 10. Pretty good arm. Definitely going to be something that to watch for in the market. You can look at a team like Detroit. Detroit will probably be in the market for one. Uh, you can't rule out anybody from the AL East, preferably the Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, the Blue Jays were a few games away from winning their first World Series in a couple of decades. So I think adding pitching depth with that roster is definitely going to be a necessity for Toronto moving forward. So we got Rangers Suarez at number 10. At number 9, I got Michael King. Now, obviously, for Yankees fan, that name is quite a familiar name as far as him growing up, pretty much growing up within the Yankee prospect as being a top tier pitcher, being in that farm system and whatnot. Um, he was definitely a big blue chip that ultimately sent him to the San Diego Padres when we got the trade for Juan Soto. So definitely. So the thing is with Michael King, he has his stuff. It's immaculate. But the question has always been is his durability. He's had a couple of years where he's been injury prone, and I think for the most part, teams will probably shy away from that. But if you can get Michael King in your rotation, I think right now I wouldn't necessarily put if he can give you a solid season, maybe he can be a solid number two if you pencil him in your rotation. But to me, right now, at the pivotal point in his career, right now, I would put him as a number three. Definitely a picture that teams are still going to be intrigued as far as inquiries and stuff like that. Free agent to be looking at maybe a 4 or 5 year deal. I think still again, the stuff is still there with Michael King as far as what he can do when he's healthy. So it would not surprise me if there is a $100 million contract there waiting for him as Michael King. A lot of rumors and speculation about him returning to the Yankees. As far as I know right now, there isn't that much significant interest that I've known from Yankee camps and sources that I follow about the Yankees' interest with Michael King. Obviously, getting Michael King into the fold would be a nice fit to have, considering the fact that Carlos Rodon will probably miss the first month of the season as he got a procedure to remove bone chips in his pitching elbow. So you pencil Michael King in there. That will probably be something that the Yankees will sign up for if they swing and miss on these top tier pitchers. Now, again, I don't want to go here and say, hey, the Yankees are going to land the big fish because as the winter meetings approach, which will be the first week of next month in California, these rumors and speculations are going to be rapid. So obviously, there was a mock one that I had put out last week as far as Terry Skubal. Obviously, Terry Skubal is coming off back-to-back Cy Young Award, so he is definitely going to be an intriguing picture if anybody can get him on the. He's obviously, without a doubt, top three, top two best pitcher in baseball. He's going into his free agent contract, and from reports, there seems to be a distance between him and Detroit as far as money and years that goes. So we'll see if someone, teams like the Mets, like the Yankees, Red Sox, whenever you consider those top tier pitchers for a Tarek Skubal, you obviously gotta bring out the big dogs as far as the top big market teams. And obviously, we talk about big market teams. You got to think the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers are just grabbing up anything and everyone nowadays. So definitely have to put them in the fold. That will probably be something very interesting to see as far as if he were to land in Dodger blue. Definitely will be a headache for me and New York baseball fans all around. But we'll definitely monitor that as far as any trade speculations. Um, I do think the situation with Paul Skeens is something that the Yankees should look into. Granted, anybody, I think all 30 Major League Baseball teams would definitely love the services of a Terry Skubal. Again, he has his stuff, left-handed pitcher coming off back-to-back Cy Young Award. I think the thing with Skubal, if you want to compare and contrast Skubal with Skeens, is that Skubal is 29 years old, whereas Skeens is 23. Now, again, you could flip flop both of them as far as who you think is the top pitcher in baseball. But I think if you speak to sources and baseball fans all around, you would definitely have those two as far as the top tier pitchers that could possibly be on the market via trade. They are not free agents. I think, and I think that's what makes Skeens a lot more intriguing than School because Skeens still has a couple of years of control, whereas if you come in across an agreement with Screwball, you're going to be giving up a lot of draft capital, and you're pretty much going to have him for a 1 year rental, unless you're able to swing a trade, sign onto an extension, which doesn't really happen as often in baseball than it does in other sports. But we'll see what that happens, and we'll see how that ultimately falls out. But man, oh man, if one can dream, and you can pencil in Paul Skeens in your rotation, especially whether you're a Yankee or Met fans, that would be a sight for sore eyes to see and to have something nice if you're a fan as an early Christmas present. So that is definitely something to watch for as far as those top tier players. If I want to put out a trade, obviously, you know, with the Mets, they have probably one of the best farm systems around. We already alluded to those top tier pitchers that will probably be going towards the Pittsburgh or Detroit if there was a trade made on the Mets side of things and whatnot. As far as our Brandon Sproat goes and Jonah Tong, I think they're gonna hold on to their other top tier prospects. But again, if you're going to make this trade, if you are, let's say, teams like the Mets and the Yankees in particular, you got to consider the fact that you're going to be giving up draft capital. On the Yankees end, obviously, the big name will probably be Spencer Jones. You're looking at Bryce Cunningham, maybe a Will Warren, maybe a Carlos Larrange. So definitely something to consider if you are the New York Yankees. But again, we all see what the Dodgers are doing. The Dodgers are spending and they're getting the talent that they need to subsequently win these championships back to back last year and the year before. So you got to consider, when you see a team dominate as the Dodgers have done the past couple of years, you almost have to really look in the mirror and try to see if you could replicate that as far as what they're doing. The Yankees used to do it back in the 90s when George Steinbrenner was alive. And we all know that demeanor and that swagger that George had when he was alive, where he didn't give a damn who it was, what it was. He's throwing the money on the table. And he's saying, listen, I want that guy. Let's make it happen. I don't care what the hell it takes. Let's do it. So that's definitely something interesting to monitor. I think the talks will pick up obviously with the winter meetings happen as far as any trades as far as those two if they are. But again, I think the chips are on the table, preferably for Pittsburgh and Detroit as far as them getting draft capitals to unload on top tier pitchers like that. So we're gonna get into number 8, and this is one of the names that I do expect the Yankees and the Mets to be in the fold with as far as the international scene goes, and that is Munetaka. Let me see if I say his name right. Munetaka Murakami. I think I got it. I think I got it. The thing with Munetaka Murakami is that he is a certified power hitter. I mean, this guy could swing the bat like no other as far as the international scene goes. And he, in my opinion, I think he has the potential of having a great career. He had a career OPS of 945, 265 home runs in 763 games at third base and 266 games at first. So he played a little over 1,000 games in the MPL league. And in that league, he was the youngest player to win the Triple Crown in 2022 when he hit for 318 batting average, 56 home runs, and 134 RBIs. Just insane numbers. The concern and the downfall, if you speak to sources, is that he does have an issue with the strikeout, striking out a lot. And if you're going to have a player of his caliber, especially with spin rates and pitch movement with these top tier major leaguers, that's something, again, he's 25 years old, so I'm pretty sure if anybody were to land Murakami, that's the first thing they're going to try to fix is he does have a potential hole in his swing. He strikes out 30% of the time. In 2024, he had 180 strikeouts in 610 appearances. So again, if there is a downside to Murakami, that will probably be it. He's not as solid of a defender as Akamoto is. Akamoto is another player that we're gonna get into in a little bit as far as one of the top international baseball players that was just posted today for major leaguers to negotiate a contract with. So we'll see where that goes with him. But in my opinion, he's as far as Murakami goes, he's more suited as a baseman. He owns a career 393 for on base percentage. But then within the past couple of years, it has dipped down to around 370 the past 3 seasons. But again, the power is there. I think if you want to talk about age, as far as comparing and contrasting him and Akamoto, he is 4 years younger than Akamoto. So I think that's where the difference will be coming and the intriguing as far as baseball teams inquiring for Murakami's services. So yeah, I have him at number 8. A potential fit again. We just alluded to that a couple of minutes ago. You can't really rule out the Dodgers, and I hate to say it because it's like, geez, man, well, why everything starts with the Dodgers? Well, to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And right now, the Dodgers are on the top of the mountain as far as Major League Baseball goes. Two-time defending champions, and again, they just find a way to get these top-tier international players. Murakami is also a former teammate of superstar Shohei Ohtani, so maybe something like that pays dividends to his decision making as far as his agent working on a deal of any kind. But there was a source that came out that although he does prefer a West Coast team, the Yankees does intrigue him. We don't know how significant or how deep that intriguement is. But again, with him being posted, I think he was posted in particular last week. So we'll ultimately see um, any what volume comes between Murakami, going to a potential East Coast team. But again, those are the numbers right there. Solid bat. Obviously, when you think about a left-handed power hitter, the first name that comes to mind is Hideki Matsui. One of Murakami's idol was Matsui, so you do have that Yankee connection as far as them trying to swill a deal to get Murakami. Maybe that pays dividends. We don't know as of yet, but again, the intriguement is there as far as him wanting to play in New York, preferably the Yankees as far as sources go. But he did go on record saying that he does prefer a West Coast team. So that he is number 8 on my list of free agents this year. We're gonna go into number 7. Number 7, I got Dylan Cease. Again, he's probably not that same type of picture that he was back in his Chicago days. He still has a high swing and miss ratio, which will intrigue major league teams to pursue a deal with him. Maybe 4 years, maybe between 80 million, $80 million. I think we'll get it done. I wouldn't be surprised for his services. There'll be a team out there that will stick their necks and pay a little bit more to get his services, especially if you're looking for a number 2 type of pitcher, which, in my opinion, I do believe that he is. So we'll see. As far as the interest goes, I know I've heard Boston is intrigued by him. Boston is right there. And Toronto. I think Toronto, I hate to say it, but when you're that close of winning the championship, the first thing you want to go do is try to revamp from a pitching standpoint. They got some good top tier pitchers. You know, starting with their rookie Trey Savage, and they got Shane Bieber. So, you add a Dylan season, then you got a nice 1, 2, 3 combination right there in Toronto, a scary one at that. And I think if they are able to land a pitcher of Cease's caliber, you got to consider Toronto to have close to, if not at least a top 10 rotation in all of baseball. Obviously, this is health bearing. So I think Dylan Cease is going to be one of those dominoes that fall fast and will probably be one of the names that fall within the winter meetings that fall fast, especially within the list that I have set up for you guys here. Number six, we're gonna get into a little bit of offense. We the first three on my list right now were pitchers. Number six, I'm going Pete Alonso. Now, you always Pete Alonso is so intriguing, man, because the power is there. The defense has always been a question for me when it comes to the defense. Sorry about that. But yeah, the defense has always been a question as far as his first baseman is not the most solid first baseman around. But again, I think you can get away with that if you're going to sign up with him having 20 to 30 home runs and give you 90 RBIs. And that's still what Pete Alonso is able to do. Obviously he's a little bit older right now, so you know, a five he's still capable of landing a 5 year, $100 million contract. I don't know who will be because you got to look at last year. Last year, the market was there. There was rumors and speculations about him landing this sort of contract, that sort of contract. Obviously, the market wasn't as high for Alonso, and he had a pretty much an up and down year where he didn't pretty much benefit himself as far as getting the big money deal. Do I think that is going to happen this year? I think this year is more likely to happen because he did show flashes of him being able to be healthy for the most part. He did have his little injury here and there, but for the most part, when Pete Alonso is healthy, he is a he is a dangerous player. So I look at a team like the Boston Red Sox who will be interested in his services. I would have said if you would have asked me this maybe a week ago or two, I would have said Seattle would definitely be a nice fit. But Seattle came to terms a couple of weeks ago with Josh Naylor, so they already solidified their first baseman of the future with him. So yeah, I think when you talk about Boston, Pete Alonso in particular, Boston's a name to look at. Um, I want to say Toronto, but I don't know how significant their interest in Pete Alonso is as opposed to Cody plugging in Cody Bellinger there. But Toronto is definitely a team to look out for, and San Francisco Giants would definitely be in play for his services. The New York Mets, they're I guess they're expecting Pete Alonso to leave. More than likely, the scenario of him coming back is slim to none as opposed to what it was last year. So definitely getting a guy from Cody Bellinger, and it's like, I mean, if you're the Yankees, it's like, geez, you're losing another top tier guy to the Mets. That probably won't sit well with Yankee fans and Yankee management if they allow that to happen. With Bellinger, that is. But again, I think somewhere in the American League, Pete Alonso is going to find a home. I do not think that is going to be with the Mets. If I had to make a prediction right now, I think some way somehow he's going to find his way in a Boston Red Sox uniform, which is not going to belt well for Yankee pitching when it comes to Alonso. He's had good numbers against the Yankees, so we'll see how that goes. But Pete Alonso is number six in my list. I'm looking at maybe a 4 or 5 year deal between 85 and $100 million. I just don't know where that's gonna range at and how significant the market is for a player of his caliber right there. Again, he's creeping up on the 30s right now. So, major league teams are more or less reluctant to sign a player who's creeping up in the 30s and has shown us signs of decline. Not significant, but there always is the injury bug when it comes to Pete Alonso. And again, he's not the sharpest defender at first there. So, it's almost like you gotta deal with the good, but deal with the discrepancies when it comes to Pete Alonso because defense is sort of the baggage that he brings. And again, he has moments where he has not been healthy, but when he is healthy, this is the guy that could have 20, 25 home runs in his sleep, in my opinion. Number five, We got Cody Bellinger. We just talked about Cody Bellinger a little while ago. I think it is very, very important for the Yankees to re-sign this man. Obviously, there's a tie. There's family ties with his father Clay playing for the Yankees in the late '90s and whatnot. But again, the injuries was the biggest question for him when we made the trade for him. It was a 1 year deal that we got for him from Chicago, but I think he, for the most part, at least this past year, he silenced some of those critics and whatnot, and he had a phenomenal year. 272 batting average, 29 home runs, 98 RBIs. There's not much you can ask for as far as Cody Bellinger. And again, when you have a power left-handed bat in that short porch at Yankee Stadium, it just pays dividends to any left-handed power hitter that plays 80 plus games at Yankee Stadium. So I do think if there was a big move that the Yankees will make as far as their first move, because obviously starting pitching is a question. Bullpen is definitely a necessity. There were talks today as far as the Yankees inquiring about Devin Williams and speaking to his camp as far as a possible reunion between Williams and the Yankees. I would love that personally. I know he didn't have one of his best seasons, but towards the end, he was the Devin Williams that we known and love in Milwaukee. We'll see how that goes as far as the Yankees signing one of their own as for their bullpen for the 2026 season and beyond. But Bellinger, and again, we all talk about Kyle Tucker. I know Kyle Tucker is the cream of the crop as far as pretty much the Major League Baseball free agent goes. And as I'm talking about it, I pretty much giving up who I have number one on my list. But again, Cody Bellinger, very very solid at bat, very very solid defense. And the thing is, he's versatile. You can put him at left, you can put him at center, you can put him at right. He has a little experience as far as first base goes. So, we all talk about the bat when it comes to Cody Bellinger, but again, the versatility is a necessity for any team that can have multiple positions. It gives John Carlos Stanton, a day off, even though he doesn't really play, the field anymore like that. You can plug Bellinger in for DH and whatnot. If Aaron Judge needs a day off, you could also plug him at DH and Bellinger could pick up at right field. So as far as a contract, well, I'm going to go on a limb and say the Yankees have to retain him. It's the most important move that they have to make. Now, again, I understand, the treatment Kyle Tucker brings to any team. Again, he's the cream of the crop of this free agency as far as offensive goes. But again, you have a guy of Cody Bellinger's caliber. He answered a lot of questions, and if the Yankees were to swing and miss on Kyle Tucker, and I hate to say this because I don't consider Cody Bellinger a fallback, but again, I'm a big believer. You get who you have right now, and right now we had a year of Cody Bellinger. I think he did a tremendous job after Juan Soto elected to sign with the Mets. So ultimately, I do think the Yankees are going to find a way to re-sign this guy, bring him back in pinstripes. According to sources, I don't know how significant it is to say this, but just according to significant sources, he is the clear favorite to land with New York. We'll see how that goes because there can be teams like the Dodgers. There can be teams like the San Francisco Giants who will be interested in his service. Again, the New York Mets will be interested in him. So the Yankees they're gonna have a tough time trying to sign this guy because there's gonna be teams gunning for him to lure him away to try to get him to play with their team. So Cody Bellinger is definitely the number one priority that the Yankees need to do as far as re-signing. 6 year deal. Considering the fact there are teams that are going to be jumping at the chance to get Cody Bellinger, I think this is going to be a situation where the Yankees' hand is going to be forced as far as having to overpay him. And To think about overpaying, especially when you talk about the New York Yankees, they haven't been so reluctant to do that in years past. We all seen how the contracts of Aaron Hicks was towards the end of his contract. The Yankees are still paying DJ LeMahieu. I think they're paying him $15 million for him not to play. I think there's one more year of him, 1 or 2 more years. I'm not 100% sure when it comes to that, as far as DJ LeMahieu and his current contract situation with the Yankees. But I know that they are paying him $15 million to not play in the upcoming 2026 season. But I'll go 6 years. Let's say 6 years, 180. My first number would have been something, you know, 160, 170, but I think it's going to take 180, 185. And the reason why I say 6 years and not more, he is 30 years old. He does have a history of injuries. So when it comes to Cody Bellinger, you always have to have that in the back of your mind as far as, yes, again, he's another guy where when he is healthy, which he proved this year, he is absolutely amazing. And I think he is the perfect setup guy next to Aaron Judge. You can plug him in that number three hole right there. And again, he and another thing is he's one of those hitters that he really has good numbers against left-handed hitters. A lot of power hitters, especially in today's game, they struggle against similar left-handed pitching. But with him, he has good numbers against righties. He has good numbers against lefties. He has such an amazing approach when it comes to two strikes on the count. And again, he's not just about power. He spreads the ball around the field. He has a dynamic glove still to this day. So again, the Yankees securing and retaining Cody Bellinger is the number one priority for the New York Yankees going to, going into free agency. So we'll see what that happens. But again, Hal Steinbrenner, get this deal done, because if you don't, it's going to be madness in Yankee Stadium come opening day. So that concludes who I have as number five. Number four, I got Bo Bichette. Now, Bo Bichette is very intriguing as far as who I have on my top 10, because again, we all know the upside, we all know the power that he brings and whatnot. Pretty good defender, and I know there's been people, at least for the past couple of days, saying, could it be a situation where the Yankees will at least look into it? I do think the Yankees owe it to themselves to at least look into it. I know Texas is interested. I know Toronto is interested in retaining him. Ultimately, I do think Boba Shed will be. He's going to sign with an American League team, but I can't put my finger as far as what American League team is going to sign him. I think it's going to be a team that is going to be one of those dark horses that ultimately signs him. I do think Boba Shed is going to get somewhere between 100 and 150 million dollars. I think the reason why it's so intriguing for the Yankees to at least look into it is because they're not sure what they're gonna get as far as shortstop right now. Anthony Volpe, he's gonna have a surgery. He Matter of fact, he had surgery to correct a torn labrum that he played with damn near half of the year. So that pretty much leaves you with Jose Caballero. And again, Jose Caballero, very good player. He brings a speed element that the Yankees haven't had in some time, along with Jazz Chisholm. But he, the bat is always the issue when it comes to Caballero. He'll get his hits here and there, but the consistency, as far as playing every day, he hasn't had that chance. It looks like if the Yankees don't make a move at shortstop, Caballero will be the starting shortstop come opening day, bearing any significant moves the Yankees decide to make moving forward. But again, Bo Bichette is something that I think the Yankees should at least call his agents to at least look at, see what a deal looks like, and see if it's something to the beneficiary to the Yankees camp to be like, you know what, let's bring this guy in and see ultimately. I mean, if you come to terms with Bo Bichette, Anthony Volpe's time with the New York Yankees will probably be concluded after that, and they're gonna probably look into a trade like that. Um, I think once you're in the mood, it's so easy to be like, you know what, man, this guy is it's just not working out for this guy here. The bright lights appear to be too much, but again, to playing with a torn labrum, and I'm not making any excuses. At the end of the day, if you feel like you're healthy enough to play, then by all means. But if you feel like you're not and you're hurting the team, then you shouldn't be playing at all. But the upside is that Volpe is still 23 years old. You know, he just completed his third year with the Yankees, and you know maybe he plays. Well, I would say winter ball, but he probably won't play winter ball as he recovers from the torn labral surgery, and he's going to miss some time in the 2026 season. But we don't know what version of Volpe we're going to get when he does return. So that's why I feel like, you know, the Yankees should at least be spinning the wheels when it comes to Bo Bichette and inquiring about his services. But I think for Toronto's from where Toronto's staying at, they're hoping that he doesn't go anywhere near the American League East. I think Boston is also a team to watch out for if they don't retain Alex Bregman, who is their top tier free agent. So I think ultimately Bo Bichette is going to wound up with an American League team. I just don't know who that team will be. I feel like it's going to be a dark horse. That's still to be determined, and we'll see how that turns out ultimately. But Bo Bichette is number four on my list. Number three is pretty much a no-brainer. It's Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber had an amazing year. You know, he's creeping up in his 30s. I think he's 32. So you're not gonna get a that long contract of his caliber, considering his age. But I don't think he's going nowhere. I think Philadelphia will be fools to let that man walk. I know Cincinnati is a team that's going to be kicking wheels as far as his services, but ultimately, I think Schwarber is going to stay with the Philadelphia Phillies. There was a little birdie that was saying, yeah, maybe the Yankees will have interest. I mean, he's sort of a liability as far as defensive goes, especially this point in his career. And we pretty much have a set DH with John Carlos Stanton, so see that fit. I don't see that being a significant fit when it comes to the Yankees. But ultimately, I do think that he's going to stay put in Philly. I would look at a 4-year, 4 year deal for Philadelphia to retain Kyle Schwarber. 50 home run power still to this day, even as he approaches his age 33 season. So Schwarber is definitely a name that teams are gonna go out and inquire. I do think the Cubs will definitely be a name to try to retain him and try to get him back. But again, I don't see how Philadelphia could just let him go and not match an offer that is going to be presented to him because he is going to get. There are going to be calls. Philadelphia that will get regarding his services as far as Kyle Schwarber and Kyle Schwarber's camp. Two teams, like I said, that will probably be maybe. You know what? I do think Texas. I do have Texas as a dark horse. I see significant interest from the Angels. You know, I think the Angels will inquire about it, but ultimately, I think it's going to lead to three teams: Chicago Cubs, Philadelphia Phillies, and the Cincinnati Reds. But I think at the end of the day, Philadelphia is going to find a way to retain him. Schwarber has gone on record saying that he does want to be in Philadelphia. So we'll see what the interest is on both camps as far as Schwarber's camp and Philadelphia's, desperate T as far as wanting to retain him because there are going to be calls and they're going to have to break out the bank, even if it is for a 4-year deal. But I do expect that's probably what the contract, as far as the contract length, is going to be for Kyle Schwarber. Number three Well, that was number three. Excuse me. Number two, we just said his name, Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman is a guy who has power. He's significant because he brings you a combination of power and contact. Really, really solid when it comes to. You can plug him in at third base. You can plug him in at shortstop. I think Boston would like to retain him. If they don't, that's where I feel like they will convert their attention to Bo Bichette. Ultimately, this is a no-brainer for Bregman to Boston to retain Bregman. Detroit obviously will be a team to watch out for. And I think they will have significant interest. I think the the intriguing part of Detroit having Torres at second and Bregman at short or Bregman at third, however they want to slice and dice it. I think it's really intriguing as far as Detroit to inquire what would it take to land a guy like Alex Bregman. Obviously, Toronto, if they lose out on Bo Bichette, I think Toronto will definitely. We could probably see a swap as far as shortstop goes and position players as far as Toronto and Boston goes. But we'll definitely see how that goes. But I think Alex Bregman upside is impeccable. Um, I do see those two teams being the teams that will show the most interest in inquiring his services. Look at a 5 year deal, maybe him too. A 5 year deal. I think when healthy, you could see him landing a deal between 100 and 125 million dollars for Alex Bregman, and we'll see how that goes because he's obviously, if not the number one, number two target as far as the shortstop position goes. There's not really a strong market as far as shortstop goes. Those are the top two names that will probably be out there. Texas will definitely be a name. I can see the Athletics will definitely be a name that will be kicking the tires for his services. And San Francisco, there was some interest, but I don't see how that's going to be. They're sort of crowded as far as shortstop and third baseman goes. But I think if they were to make that move, they will try to see if Devers can be an everyday first baseman. But then again, I don't know. I don't see where that fit goes because you have Chapman there who's solidifying third base, and they have a shortstop too. So I don't know if that is the proper fit for Bregman as far as San Francisco goes. And again, as I alluded to a little while ago, the number one player that I have on my top 10 free agent board is Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker is the cream of the crop. He's 28 years old. He can hit contact. He can hit for power. And I think if the Yankees, I said on this segment a couple of weeks ago, it's time for the Yankees to start being the damn Yankees. I don't see, you look at what the Dodgers have done as far as splurging and spending. Same thing with the New York Mets, you know, and I can't fathom a world in a scenario where the Yankees are actually being outbid by players. It's just unheard of. But that's what's happening, and the results has been a positive one for the Dodgers. Not so much for the Mets. That's still to be determined. But again, if the Yankees were to lose out on Cody Bellinger, they almost have to have Kyle Tucker. You know, he had a little bit of an injury issue, but still had a pretty decent 2025 campaign. 266 batting average, 22 home runs, and 73 RBIs. So Kyle Tucker is very intriguing. He also plays a pretty good outfield wherever you can put him at. He's just as versatile as Cody Bellinger. So I think if you were to and contrast the two, I think it's a situation. It's almost similar to what the Yankees had in 2009, where they had a chance to get a guy like Bryce Harper. When Bryce Harper was at his peak, they elected to go to Luke Voigt. It's still uh, questionable to see how that would have ended, but in this day and age, you have to go out for the best player. So even though it will hurt Yankee fans, including myself, if we miss out on Cody Bellinger, but I think, and I speak for all Yankee universe, if we were able to get a guy of a Kyle Tucker's caliber, I think we'll be okay because I think, the fact that he is younger and he is to me, he's a little bit better than Cody Bellinger. I think we'll sign up for that. And ultimately, you have to go for the better player. That's how you ultimately win championships. It's the same DNA that the Dodgers has been following for the past couple of years now, where they just don't care. They just splurging and they're just making it happen. So yeah, so that is my top 10 as far as Major League Baseball free agency goes. But this can go either way. This is as far as who goes where. You got other caliber free agents that are out there. Obviously, as we talk about Yankees and the Mets, you got Pete Alonso, you got Edwin Diaz, you got Devin Williams for the Yankees. So we'll see what happens. Now, the important thing that I'm gonna point out, and I know a lot of people has been DM me in social media as far as how significant Trent Grisham's pickup option was. He picked up the qualifying offer that the Yankees presented to him at $22.5 million. Now, according to sources and Brian Cashman himself, this is not going to hurt or affect the Yankees' chances of retaining a player like Cody Bellinger. And I hope that's not the case because right now we're just the more rumors that I've been hearing of late is just fourth outfielders and just benching. And it's good to have a solid bench, with speed and a player that could hit left-handers and right-handers. I think for the most part, the Yankee team was a little left-handed dominant. So I think when they were able to get a guy like Slater from Chicago, especially Caballero, with his speed and his ability to hit pitchers, and Ahmed Rosario, who is a menace against left-handed pitching. So he too is a free agent, not as significant of a caliber of the list that I presented to you guys. But again, you gotta ultimately follow the teams that have beaten you. And in the past couple of years, it's been the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers who just dominated the Yankees as far as the playoffs goes. As far as the New York Mets go, I think retaining Edwin Diaz is essential. I just feel like I don't know if they're going to go to that distance to get him. According to reports, Edwin Diaz is looking for a contract similar to the previous one that he had with the Mets, which is a 5-year deal, a little over $100 million. I don't know if the Mets are going to go uh, to that distance to retain him for that. I don't think he's still a solid player. Whether the Mets think that he is worth that much at this point in his career is to be determined. But I think it's very important for the Mets to retain one of their own guys because I do think Pete Alonso's career in a Met uniform is concluded. I don't see him returning to the Mets, but I think it is more likely for Edwin Diaz to return to the Mets. And again, starting pitching is going to be necessity. There's also other international players. We have Akamoto. Akamoto is definitely a guy to watch out for as far as other Yankees and Mets looking for a first baseman and a third baseman at that point. So Akamoto is more defensively sound than Murakami, I would say. So that's definitely interesting to see. He was posted today by his team in the MPL. So I think teams have until December 4th uh, to inquire and work out any sort of deal with these international players. But I think adding someone like that is very, very intriguing for anybody. Um, Akamoto played 8 years for the Yomiuri Giants. 6 of those 8 years were 30 home run campaigns, including a 41 home run campaign that he had in 2023. That was over 140 games, 6 out of the 8 years. He's 30 years old, so the age is always going to be a question mark when it comes to international players and any player in general as far as longevity. He was slowed down by an elbow injury that limited his 2025 season, but he still hit 15 home runs and had a WRC plus of 210. He has an 80% contact rate, which is really, really good. It's 80% contact rate, pitches 93 miles per hour and faster, which is really, really good. Uh, solid, solid, solid defender at first base. The thing is, with Akamoto, he wasn't as popular or polished as say Suzuki when he came out, but again, that's definitely going to be a name that teams are going to be inquiring about. I could see a deal between 140, 150, 160 million dollars when it comes to the services of Akamoto. As far as him landing a major league deal, again, he is a couple of years older than Murakami, so how significant does that come for teams when they're comparing and contrasting Akamoto as opposed to Murakami? We'll see if that pays dividends for Major League Baseball teams looking to acquire the services for both players. Um, I did forget a projection for Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker is going to get the bag. How significant that is, I don't know. But it would not surprise me if he gets a deal 10 years, between 350 and 400 million dollars, and that's where I feel like the Yankees are going to like sort of pivot because they're not so reluctant to give out these big money deals anymore. They're just not. They're just not. Ultimately, you can go and be like, hey, well, they did it to Aaron Judge. I mean, he's Aaron Judge. He's the franchise player. So there was it's a foregone conclusion as far as them retaining him. Whether they see Tucker in that same lighting as Aaron Judge, I don't believe so. But again, if they are serious about winning, you're going to have to overpay for a guy like Kyle Tucker and a guy like Cody Bellinger. Ultimately, moving forward. So that is going to wrap up my free agent list. Want to get into a little bit of football. Some news that came over the weekend as far as Jets player Chris Boyd. Scary, scary scene for Chris Boyd. Chris Boyd was involved in a shooting that took place over the weekend at a Manhattan Asian fusion spot. He was listed as critical but stable. I am now happy to report that he is now listed in stable condition. He's doing well. His spirit is good, and definitely an unfortunate scene. Um, Police are still searching for a suspect in the shooting of Chris Boyd, but just seeing him interact on social media, he's able to breathe on his own. So that is definitely very, very, very good news to report. It's always difficult in any sort of situation, whether it's sports related or just from a generosity standpoint, to talk about these shootings, especially around the New York City area. It's very, very terrible, but definitely happy to report that news. And shout out to Bellevue Hospital where he was at, to be able to get him where he's functioning and breathing on his own. So definitely good news to report. If you guys are looking forward as far as the week to come, the New York Knicks will be in action. Jalen Brunson's back. He looked pretty good in his return against the Dallas Mavericks. The Knicks were able to swing a 113 to 111 victory against the Dallas Mavericks. The next game for the New York Knicks will be on the road. I think it's the third of their 5 game road trip against the Orlando Magic. We got to remember, I think it was about a week or two, the Orlando Magic handed the Knicks their first home loss of the 2025 2026 season. So the Knicks will definitely look for redemption. It will come in a shorthanded effort as the Knicks will be without OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby will be evaluated within the next 2 weeks as he nurses a hamstring injury, and I think this is a sigh of relief if we're talking about the injury happened now as opposed to it happening in May or April. So I think if you want to have something that will be considered minor, and again, hamstring injuries are so significant because it could be, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 months. But according to reports, this is a grade one hamstring strain. So, hopefully he'll be ready to go after the evaluation in 2 weeks, and he won't miss significant time because he he was arguably having his best season as a pro until he went down with an injury. So you hate to see players that are getting injured and they're just performing at a astronomical rate. I think he was averaging a little bit over 20 points a game. Again, he's one of the best defensive stoppers alongside Mikal Bridges and Mitchell Robinson. It's more of a rebounder, but if you talk about building a defensive wall, OG Anunoby is probably one of the best defensive players, not only on the team but in basketball in general. So we'll see how his recovery goes, and see if the Knicks can continue to win ball games. So far, they have a 9-5 record, which puts them at I think three currently right now in the Eastern Conference right now. So listen, this is pretty much what we expected. Especially when you're a designed Mike Brown type of coaching. You're gonna get good defense. And I think the significant thing that I've seen so far, and I alluded to a couple of weeks ago, is that they're not so much ball aligned on Jalen Brunson. The ball is not always on his hands 24/7 as it appeared to be in a Tom Thibodeau defense. The Brooklyn Nets will head to Boston tomorrow night. Again, Brooklyn Nets struggling this year as expected. They're on a rebounding year. They have a win loss record of 2-12. They're going to head to Boston to play the Celtics. But if we are to point out something that is significant, is the play of Michael Porter Jr. Now I'm going to say something. I know I'm going to pretty much get a lot of backlash from social media and things of that nature. Michael Porter Jr. is pretty much, and this is pre back injuries. Michael Porter Jr. was Cooper Flag before Cooper Flag. I'm willing to open up this conversation for argument's sake. And I think because of the injuries and because of the variability, basketball fans weren't able to see how good this guy can be because of the injuries. And if you have a teammate like Nikola Jokic, you're going to be overshadowed by anybody. But the fact that we're seeing good performances, I think he only had two 7 assist games. All of last year, I think he had three 7 assist games. So that shows what he is capable of as far as having a ball in his hand. And, he's increased his point total. I think his point total was a little bit 15, 16-ish points per game. He's had a couple of 30-point games. He's had a couple of 25-point games. So, in a year where it's very hard to point out something positive with this Brooklyn Nets team because they're so young and they have an inexperienced team. If there was something to point out, I think we should really look at the play of Michael Porter Jr. He's been playing sensational basketball for the Brooklyn Nets. I want to thank you guys so much for always tuning in. Please make sure to like and subscribe the Our Time Press YouTube channel. Sports Talk Eddie is presented by Our Time Press, the local paper with the global view. The newspaper is out on Thursdays. Check my column. I got a nice week column as far as the Giants and Jets go and who I believe has the better future when we're talking about both franchises. But instead of splurging out now, tune in, pick up a copy of Our Time Press, the newspaper. Thank you guys so much. And on behalf of myself and everybody here at Our Time Press, we want to wish each and every one of you guys a very happy Thanksgiving. and eat all the food you want. Go to your aunt's house, go to your uncle's house, go to whoever's house where there is availability with food. I know I will be. So thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy some Thanksgiving football and some turkey, and I will see you guys on the next one.